I've come to realize something. If you want to truly combat the antis, you need to understand the power of mental destruction. You must dismantle them bit by bit, driving them closer to the edge of their own undoing. When they refuse to engage with logic, when they reject rational thought, they become a danger to the very fabric of common sense and reasoning. These people, the ones who act out of pure emotion, are liabilities to the structure of discourse and growth. You must put them in their place, not through violence or physical force, but by attacking the core of their fragile mental state. In this age of mental health crises, when people openly admit how social media destroys their peace, we must recognize the cracks in the human psyche. The modern mind is being pushed to its limits, and this is something you can't ignore. It's an opportunity to manipulate how they develop, to control the narrative of their emotional growth within this toxic environment they've created. You must make them feel the weight of their own ignorance and emotional instability every time they engage online. The agony they feel should be the price they pay for abandoning logic. Don't let them hide behind the false comfort of morals or ethics, because those shields are illusions. They won't protect their sense of self-worth when they face the brutal indifference of reality. The reality is, there are no moral absolutes, no universal truths that can safeguard them from the consequences of their own delusions. Your goal is to tear away their emotional armor, to expose the harsh truth that their ideologies are meaningless in the face of what truly matters. You can't let them continue to live in their self-constructed bubbles, to remain comfortable in their false sense of righteousness. Make them feel the cold indifference of the universe, so they understand the insignificance of their emotional outbursts. Only then can you truly expose the fragility of their worldview and restore balance to a society plagued by this mental decay. In this era, the battle for the future of society is fought not only on the physical front but in the battlefield of minds. The forces of emotional manipulation, driven by movements like the LGBTQ+ agenda, woke culture, and corporate giants such as BlackRock and Sweet Baby Incorporated, are systematically exploiting the vulnerabilities of modern society. These forces thrive on chaos, using emotional narratives to control and commodify reality itself. The more we allow these movements to dominate the cultural discourse, the more we risk becoming entrapped in a preordained system that shapes our thoughts, perceptions, and ultimately our actions. The truth is simple: chaos is an opportunity. If we are to protect our ability to think critically, to engage with media freely, and to preserve our individual autonomy, we must use this chaos to our advantage. The emotional landscape created by these movements offers us the perfect environment to dismantle their influence, piece by piece, argument by argument. The minds of those who are driven by emotional biases are fragile, and they leave themselves exposed the moment they abandon logic and reason. This is where we come in. We must take charge of this battleground, turning the very chaos they've created into a weapon. To combat those who cannot engage in rational discourse, those who send death threats, dox people, and abandon logic in favor of emotional outbursts, we must be unrelenting. This is not about soft arguments or gentle persuasion, it is about strategically dismantling their beliefs, eroding their mental fortitude until they are left with nothing but the shattered remnants of their own contradictions. These people, antis, emotional crusaders, are not just misguided, they are liabilities to the ecosystem of logic and reason. They are parasites feeding off the emotional tumult they've helped create. By refusing to engage in logical discourse, they willingly become agents of chaos, undermining the very foundation of meaningful communication. They can no longer be treated as valid participants in this discussion. They must be shown that their emotional manipulation will not go unchecked, and their attempt to control reality through biased narratives will be met with the cold, unyielding force of logic. This is where we must strike. In a world where rationality is being systematically undermined, we must become the embodiment of reason, the guardians of critical thought. We must expose their emotional biases for what they are, weaknesses, and use their own chaotic behavior to dismantle their arguments. By confronting their emotional attacks with a relentless, logical counteroffensive, we will not only protect our own autonomy but also send a message: we will not let emotional manipulation dictate the course of our future. We must create a space where logic, reason, and intellectual rigor are respected again. A space where emotional narratives are scrutinized and exposed for their fragility. And in doing so, we take control of the battlefield, using the chaos they've introduced to strip away their emotional shields, forcing them to confront the harsh truths they've tried to avoid. This is not just about protecting our hobbies, our art, or our freedoms, it is about protecting our minds from those who seek to control them through emotional exploitation. In the end, those who cannot think logically or critically are not worth engaging with on any meaningful level. They must be mentally decapitated, stripped of their emotional weapons, and shown the futility of their cause. And in this mental war, we will emerge victorious. Because when the dust settles, it will be those of us who wield the power of reason, logic, and autonomy who shape the future.